I'm so excited that we're finally taping this conversation, and there will be many more. For those that are listening or watching, we've been talking about woo news for quite some time. It's something that Lisa came up with a while ago so that she could keep all of us updated on the spiritual topics and trends that are going on in the world. And we love going through it every week. I know it's something that Noel and I and Karen, who couldn't be here today, we look forward to looking to see what Lisa has come up with. So thank you, Lisa.
Welcome.
And we've wanted to actually tape these conversations. They're eye-opening because it's like you have no idea what is actually being created or being practiced.
It's very cool. And it's not stuff that you would normally like just come across in like your main feeds or this and that. Like this is stuff that I have searched out. And that's why I'm like, there's so much out there. You don't even realize it until you go digging and looking for it. And I, of course, try and find the more mainstream sources of these kind of topics, but it's very cool. There's so much to talk about.
And we all usually end up laughing our butts off.
We do.
Can be a little wacky.
Yeah, it's really nice to have this curated list of articles or videos to check out. And we will be doing this on an ongoing basis. You can be looking out for Woo News every few weeks in our community, and then we'll be talking about it. And if you have any feedback or you come across any articles or videos we should check out, send it to our team.
Yep.
So with that, we're going to start with our latest. So Lisa, let's kick it off.
Okay, let's see. There was one that I found, which was, is your brain blocking your psychic abilities? And it was like, so researchers found evidence that parts of the brain might act as a PSI inhibitor, meaning that the brain suppresses its natural psychic abilities, potentially. It was really interesting to me because I never thought of it. I know a lot of guides and everybody had said, this is all in us. We all have this. But when it's not something that it's at the forefront for you, seeing something like this is, there's some research and some science with it. Okay, let's see about that. So researchers tested like this technique that temporarily disrupts a certain specific area of the brain in the frontal lobe. And when that region is disrupted, the participants showed signs of these abilities that are typically suppressed. So it was suggesting that the brain may be acting as a filter, blocking out natural psychic capabilities.
Wow. I'm so interested. It makes me want to like put all kinds of
little nodes.
Yeah, little nodes so that we can like an EEG almost to measure different people's brain functions, especially psychics that we know, because clearly they're not being blocked. Yeah.
Like the telepathy tapes.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. One trend that I wanted us to discuss, because I had not heard of this, grounding sheets.
Oh, yes, I have heard of them. And they are supposed to simulate the frequency of the Earth. I haven't had a chance to read the article, but that is the idea.
Yeah. They help transfer Earth's natural electrons to your body as you sleep to give you a more grounded, restful feel. And you plug them in.
You plug them in. That's what, so their frequency, right? Like just any sort of other sound frequency, there's a frequency within them. I haven't tried them.
Take it with a grain of salt too, because they've done studies on this, but all the studies out there, really small sample size. A lot of it's funded by the companies selling the products. So it's, I don't know, it's a trend. It's what people are talking about.
It is a trend because I know I have had people ask about it.
It's crazy.
I can't speak to it. And you know how we are. Like we like to try things before we recommend them. But trend to look out for. Let us know if you're in this community and you've tried them. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, it's on the radar. Along those lines, another trend, wellness rooms, which, as we all know, after the pandemic, a lot of people were rethinking the spaces in their home and making some dual spaces and whatnot. And so what some interior designers and decorators are seeing is that people are transforming rooms into sanctuaries of self-care. Whatever that means for them, it might be something different, like a home gym or a music room or a meditation space or whatever it is. And I was thinking, what would we put in our wellness rooms? I know what I would put in my wellness room.
I want to know what you'd put.
I would put 3 things in my wellness room. 1, big soaking tub, like big relaxing tub. And 2, I would love some kind of Zen garden greenery situation going on. I think that would be great. And number 3, wine fridge. But you?
Noelle, what would you do?
I think I would do something outside, maybe because I'm in Los Angeles and my house is small, but you don't need to create a whole entire room. You can create like a space that is also used for something else. But I think I would sit outside and I would put like my meditation pillow. I've got like Buddha heads in my garden. I would just sit near some flowers and like just create a little space. And I do have a wine fridge in my garage.
You're
So
already a step ahead.
maybe make it close to the garage. Or I
Mhm.
could be sitting in my jacuzzi. I got a jacuzzi in the front of my yard. I could just sit there,
That sounds
right?
pretty
At least you
ideal.
should come over.
I know. I was like, you have my
I have
ideal
your
wellness
space.
room already. That's great.
That's awesome.
But I do sometimes, my girlfriend bought me a little meditation cushion. And the other day I was so sick of being inside that I just took my meditation cushion and I sat on my deck in the warmest sunshiny spot. And I just sat there and did the breathing method that we learned the other day from Danielle and Brittany.
Wow, I love that. I think for me, I would invest in one of these like biohacking mats that's all about like energy. So talk about like grounding sheets. And I know Karen's tried it. I want to try this. There are these
Wait, what
mats.
is this?
Yeah, we've had these 2 women on the podcast before, and it's a pretty decent investment in one of these mats that is supposed to, from a frequency perspective, transmute certain energy and cells within your body so that you feel happier, you feel more engaged, you can focus better. It's all about continuing to regenerate certain cells within you. And you only have to lay on it for 10 to 15 minutes a day. I think in my ideal room, it'd be soundproof. It would have some really awesome speakers in it so that I can pump different types of frequencies or guided meditations. And then I'd be laying on that mat for a good 15 minutes. And I would want some comfy pillows and things like it. It would need some comfort in there. And then my wine fridge would be like right outside the door.
Yeah. Easily accessible. Maybe that's
Easily accessible. Yes.
You said something about guided meditation, so that made me think of the next one that I had seen, which was Meditate While Driving was the name of the article. And what was interesting to me, because when I hear meditation, I think like guided meditation or maybe eyes closed kind of meditation. So I'm like, what kind of meditation are we doing while driving? This is soundless and it's through like Apple Watch or whatever. And it's not voice guided. It's like soundless breath work that's guided by haptic feedback. So you feel it, which is really interesting. Actually, at Stanford, they did a study into this type of thing. They used simulators. They didn't like put people on the highway and then be like, let's just see what happens. So they used simulators, but they had 24 participants in this study, and they had these cars like vibrate haptically, like the seats, for when they should do different breathing, breathe in, breathe out, whatever. And their heart rate variability increased, suggesting they were becoming less stressed. And the guy who wrote this article this has definitely made my driving less distracted and I'm way less road ragey and all that. And so, Noelle, like you had just mentioned, we had that breath work exercise that we did with Brittany and with Danielle. And that's made me think of this as well. And I was like, I think, because at first I was like, no, I couldn't meditate while driving. I need to focus. Like, I need to know what I'm doing. But with this, I was like, I don't know, maybe I could. Do you think you would be calmed by this, or do you think it would be a distraction for you? I don't know.
I'd like to try it. I'd definitely like to try because I was supposed to go to the Valley today, which for those people who live in Los Angeles is like going to Mars. It's so far. But I was going to see a friend who's traveled here from overseas, and I was going to be in the car for God knows how long, like an hour and a half, whatever. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to see a friend. Who gives a hoot? So I was just going to like pull out like my Eckhart Tolleness and just being present. Like you're stuck in traffic. There's nothing you can do about it. Just deal with it and listen to a podcast or do this haptic thing. Like I would love to try that.
I'm curious how that ties into your seat? Do you have to have a special, or if you're using your Apple Watch, is it like pulsing on you or something?
So the Stanford study was the haptic feedback was in the car seat.
Like they built it in.
Yeah, that was like a
Yeah.
special thing. But what this guy does, who wrote the article, it's something through his watch.
That's cool. Personally, I know when I go on long road trips, especially, or if I know I am driving for a few hours, I don't even necessarily purposely do it. I get into a somewhat of a meditation, depending if I'm listening to certain music. I feel like it's one of those times where you can choose to not have too many outside influences. Like you can choose to not be on the phone. And so therefore you can focus on allowing whatever needs to drop in your mind, drop in. And it can start by breathing. As long as, to me, you're not falling asleep, which clearly they're keeping that in mind, because you can definitely do that with certain frequencies. When I listen to certain music, it absolutely gets me into that way of thinking. So for a lot of us, I know for people who live in Chicago who are commuting, right now, some of the commutes are an hour and a half in the morning, especially. Use the time rather than listening to the news, which I know some people do. Maybe use it to do this, at least one of the ways.
It's something to try.
Why not? I love that.
I usually listen to the Seeking Center podcast because I'm never alone unless I'm in my car. And that's when I listen to the
Well,
Seeking
that's useful.
You could do that too.
You can do that.
I also did a walking meditation yesterday. My girlfriend was telling me about the Peloton walking meditation. And I started walking. I started to close my eyes because that's what you think. And I'm like, I should not be closing my eyes right now.
Oh, walking. Yeah. Maybe look where you're going.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. If anybody ever wants to check that out, the Peloton walking meditations are really cool.
Oh, I
That's
will.
neat. We're going to get a little weird now.
You love weird.
Okay. Blind psychic Baba Vanga. She passed away in 96. She has made a lot of predictions all the way through to, let's see, the year 5079. So, said a lot of shit. But recently, one of the things that she said about 2025, I believe, was a devastating earthquake. And as we know,
This was the one in Myanmar.
yep, on March 28th, that was a 7.7. And then when that happened, people were like, oh, she predicted this. She was like a mystic and a healer and psychic. And she's other predictions that they've attributed to her have been 9/11, Princess Diana's passing, Chernobyl. So like she's been around and like apparently saying a lot of these things for a while. People are wondering now, oh, what else is going to come true from this? Because a lot of things that she said, a lot of these major kind of happenings, she has perhaps predicted. She is predicting alien contact in, nope, not our lifetime. Sorry, Rob.
Oh, okay. Damn.
2130. So yeah, she forecasted 2025 would bring shattering earthquakes. She has a few other 2025 predictions, which
Oh, but like what?
war breaking out in Europe
Oh, wow. Really?
and a worldwide economic disaster.
No.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, we're taping this on April 9th of 2025, and we're seeing some of the foreshadowing of that. We're in some of it right now.
Exactly. Isn't that crazy?
That's nuts.
This woman died in 1996.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. There's just reports of her predictions. So I don't know.
okay.
Again,
And as we always say, you take these things with a grain of salt. So,
you know what else she says? I would love to know what Stevie and perhaps Michelle think about this, but she says in 2028, humans will begin to explore Venus as an energy source.
wow. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to bring that up with them.
Yeah, we'll have to see. So yeah, a lot of her predictions are they're not super uplifting, guys. We'll move on from her.
Okay.
The one
Let's see.
thing that I wanted to add about the psychic ability and it being like curtailed in your brain or whatever is that some of the practices that you can learn at Seeking Center, like some of the books and like all of the wellness stuff that we're going over the years, like you're training your brain to be able to accept that.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm interested in looking into that more because I feel like for each person, there's a different time in their lives where it becomes more open. In some people's lifetime, it doesn't open, they're not meant to. But there's something about that, especially if you're listening to this right now. I think you're a little open.
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought was really relevant for us and what we're doing with Seeking Center was just a 20-minute NPR episode that was titled Goodbye Church, Hello Wellness Industrial Complex. Wellness is starting to encompass a lot of different things, including spirituality, yoga, Reiki, whatever. Some people are even treating wellness as a religion, like the way that they're approaching it. So what I thought was interesting in this article was the framing of religion and spirituality. Religion, as this conversation was going on, they were talking about how religion often comes with some internalized shame components, and that spirituality is radical self-acceptance. And so they framed it like that, which I was like, that's interesting. But then there's a flip side to it, which they talked about self-serving spiritualities in the sense that they're more inward and not outward facing. So they don't have the communal properties and the whole collective and the responsibility and community outreach and taking care of each other and that sort of thing. And it was just spirituality focusing very much on individualistic aspects of wellness, which I was like, I had not considered it like that. And that was really fascinating. They're like, people are choosing spiritual practices based more on their feelings. And is this the new version of religion? And if it is, then there's this component that's perhaps lacking, which is community. And like, how does that get addressed? So I was like,
Seeking Center community. Yes.
Some ideas.
Yes.
I thought it was like really relevant and interesting for what we're working on and what we're working towards.
Yeah.
We are trying to do it for ourselves and then to take it out to your family, take it out to the
Exactly.
community. And that's always been part of my wellness practice. It's not necessarily just about yourself.
And I think because spirituality is so personal, but from a universal perspective, what I would say is that we all believe in something bigger than ourselves. And it's working on faith and hope in a different way and getting to know who you are and why you are here. So that's very individual. However, you need the support of the community and then the acceptance that we're all at different points on the path. So I think that's the acceptance, right? But then the community is supporting each other, linking arms where we can. For some of us, it may be pulling somebody else forward or just putting your arm around them. And for others, it may be helping them just stay in a certain place for a little while they get deeper into why they are where they are. So it's so interesting because there needs to be a marriage of community, but I can see what people are saying. And I always say to people, I understand to a degree outside of why I think sometimes fear has created religions and or cults, by the way. I also understand the community aspect of those things. And when you go through things that are crossroads in your life, where you don't know what to do or where to go or where to turn to, a lot of people turn to religion just for the community and for structure. And I think you can now find that in a way that is more open to you figuring out you with certain tools available, however, in a supported place that's loving and loving you where you are and then helping you along the way. So
I love how you said that.
thank you. And really that's what we're hoping to do with what we're doing with Seeking Center. So that is so cool and so relevant, as you said, Noel.
Yeah, it was
Being
really
of service to yourself and then of service to others. That's, I don't know, collectively why we're here. And
1000%. Well, and it's like what I love, and from our own backgrounds and where we've come from, we all met working for Oprah. And when I say that, what Oprah is and always has been about is once she knows something, she wants to share it with everyone. And I think we take that nugget in what we're doing here. It's once we know something, we just want to share it. We want to help to make your life better, and that's reciprocal, right? I think everybody that we come in contact learns something, shares it, and then we all get to grow together. So
it's very cool.
Yeah.
Another one that I wanted to talk about was children playing a spiritual role in prehistoric cave art. And I think I'm mostly a little triggered by this, like from a parenting perspective, but let me just say, so they would apparently take children into these winding, pitch black ancient caves and low oxygen, dangerous, claustrophobic tunnels, all sorts of like maybe terrifying kind of situation. But they brought children down here to participate in these rituals or whatever was happening because these ancient communities believed that, and we've said a lot of this even in these times, children are closer to the other side and the unseen. And so there's been handprints and finger paintings left by little kids in some of these like ancient caves, some as young as 2 years old. I don't know how they would know that, scattered among abstract shapes and whatnot, and footprints and hand impressions. And so these kids didn't just observe, they actively took part in this. And so on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, because anybody even close to the woo-woo world has heard children are close to that kind of realm. But on the other hand, I'm like, no, don't you bring those little babies down in that
Yes.
cave. What are you doing? You can't be doing that. There's exhausting, it's hazardous, it's unsafe. They're going to be scared. Absolutely not. So I was like, I'm super torn on that one. Doesn't matter. It's already happened. But I like just thinking about it, like, huh.
True.
My first instinct was, oh, that's cool. And then my second one was, nope, that's not that cool.
That's not safe.
I don't, that's not safe.
But it is interesting that even at that time, there was a knowing that is true. And I know we've talked about it in my own life. I've seen it. My daughter at 2.5 was talking about my father that had passed away when I was 12 that she never met. And you talk about past lives, right? A lot of kids, they're still close enough to coming out of the womb. They remember where they came from. They talk about something incessantly that they wouldn't have no knowledge about. So they're just even in our own knowing in this lifetime, it's interesting to hear that in prehistoric times, they had that awareness and they were able to bring their children with them and make use of that connection. I think it'll be really interesting as they study that further, what they find. And I love to tie that into today because messages from spirit are timeless.
Isn't that cool?
Now, I just hope all these children came out of the cave, okay? That's what I will say.
Yeah, so that one's a little weird, but
Yeah.
interesting nonetheless. And I think those are the big ones to go through. Oh, there was one that I put at the bottom in the little list of things, which I just thought was random and interesting, especially because you just talked with Sansan about dreams. And this might have been a New York Post article. So yeah, it is. But this psychic says that different days of the week can help you interpret your dreams. So, for
Interesting.
example, Mondays are like tied to the moon or something. And so it's revealing emotions and feelings. Like your dreams will really reveal emotions and feelings on Mondays, theoretically. And then Tuesdays, it's more about actions to take to move forward with plans. And Wednesdays, you will maybe get more psychic messages and ancestral downloads. And it goes through with every day of the week.
Wow.
And I was like, I have a hard enough time remembering my dreams, much less remembering what day they happened on. But this was just like an interesting framework. I'd never thought about it like that. I'd be interested to know what San has
Me
to
too.
think.
And actually, San's going to be on our Live with the Guide on April 30th, I believe, which is Wednesday.
Okay.
And so I think we should send her this and then also ask her about it when we talk to her. I think that's really interesting, considering that the tool that she's built, which is called Wakefully, which is an app, she uses AI in there. And so I'd be curious if she has any of this info. So I'm going to actually send her this article so that she can be ready to talk about it. But also, they may have that in their system. I'm curious.
Yeah, that'd be cool to know.
Yeah, because the Wakefully app, what it is able to relay back to you, once you input your dream, it spits back. It really is like unbelievable. It will make your mouth drop to the floor.
And it tracks your dreams, I assume, right? So like you could.
It does. And so it'd be interesting if it could then, if you did enough of them, if it ended up lining up with this, because it does end up helping you to understand the emotion. It does end up helping you to understand and or give you guidance to take action. So just even what you just mentioned, it does do that. And it is able to look at all dreams as a whole in order to help come up with some of the guidance it gives you. So I would imagine it could actually say, this is what we hear on Mondays. This is what we hear on Tuesdays on a kind of like high level.
It'd be interesting.
Anyway, yeah. Okay, good. Good one.
A lot of woo news this week, mostly because it had been a minute since we had done it. So if
Yes.
we end up doing one this week, it probably won't be quite as robust, but you never know because I don't really find a lot of this stuff until you go digging for it. And these are all recent
Yeah.
pieces. This is not like from years ago or anything. This is all within the last couple weeks.
Much prefer talking about this kind of news than what's going on in our world. So thank you for pulling this together, and for all that are listening, watching. We are excited to continue talking about it. And when you see something, send it over.
And you can post it right in the community, post it in the feed.
Yeah, post it in the feed. That'd be great. And we'll have these roundups in articles that will also be archived under on demand. So if we mention something and you don't see it in the feed, you can always look on demand. We'll have a folder for those.
We'll get going on that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.